Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Ishan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines we're tracking right now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives in Kazakh capital Astana. India expected to seal deal to get 5,000 metric tons of uranium. One-year wait for India and Pakistan to get full membership in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Summit to start from Friday. The Supreme Court sends notice to political parties, asks them why shouldn't they be brought under the ambit of the RTI. In the Vyapam case, amid pressure from opposition parties, Madhya Pradesh government files plea for a CBI probe in the High Court. And emergency Eurozone meet to decide the fate of Greece. Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras to submit fresh proposals on debt relief. Our top story this evening, Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Kazakh capital Astana today on the second leg of his five-nation Central Asia tour. He was received at the airport by his Kazakh counterpart, Karim Mazimov. Calling Kazakhstan India's valued friend, the Prime Minister tweeted a picture with Mazimov as soon as he landed.
Concluding a successful visit to Uzbekistan, Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in the capital of Kazakhstan, Astana. Thanking his Kazakh counterpart Karim Mazimov for a memorable welcome, Prime Minister Modi tweeted this picture. The Prime Minister later held bilateral talks with Mazimov. During his two-day visit to the Central Asian nation, Modi will also call on President Nursultan Nazarbayev for delegation-level talks, sign documents and address a joint press statement. A high-powered business delegation has accompanied Modi on this visit. Indian CEOs are expected to meet leading Kazakh corporations and discuss strategies to enhance trade and investment. Modi will also interact with students at the Nazarbayev University and inaugurate the India-Kazakhstan Center for Excellence in Information and Communication Technology at the Ellen Gumilev Eurasian National University. Earlier, before leaving Uzbekistan, the Prime Minister addressed a gathering of Indologists and scholars calling for greater cultural exchange between the two countries.
पीपल टू पीपल कांटेक्ट होता है और पीपल टू पीपल कांटेक्ट का आधार सांस्कृतिक आदान प्रदान, एक दूसरे की परंपराओं को, इतिहास को, संस्कृति को जानना, जीना, ये बहुत बड़ी ताकत होता है.
One of his last engagements in Tashkent was a tribute to the second Prime Minister of India, Lal Bahadur Shastri. Modi paid tributes to Shastri at a bust erected in the former Prime Minister's memory. Shastri died of a heart attack in Tashkent in 1966 during an official visit at the age of 61. He also visited the Monument of Independence and Humanism in the capital city. Modi will next head to Ufa in Russia for the BRICS summit between 8th of July and 9th, after which he will resume his Central Asian tour to Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
And our correspondent Akhilesh Suman is presently in Ufa in Russia, and he's been tracking these developments about the Prime Minister's itinerary, his visit and what's on the agenda. So Central Asia, energy security is a major thing as far as the Prime Minister's agenda is concerned, isn't it, Akhilesh?
Yeah, naturally energy security is one of the biggest agenda of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But along with that, there is a question of cultural diplomacy, and India is trying to spread its culture. It's bond the Central Asian countries are all Soviet Union area. So the Prime Minister is very calculatedly has clubbed the visit of Russia, Central Asian countries to show that India, as it was during the Soviet Union, still in the whole area, and it wants to resume the relationship as it was prevailing to before the collapse of Soviet Union. As you know, Ishan, before the collapse of Soviet Union, India was one of the major alliance partners of Soviet Union in the whole of Asia. And after the collapse of Soviet Union, India somehow or other ignored the whole region But now Prime Minister Narendra Modi, I think, is going to resume the whole ties that had been existing before dismantling. And in that context, if you see the visit of Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and then to Russia, and then to rest of the three Central Asian, is going to create a new India's Central Asia.
Right. Right, we apologize for that audio glitch, Akhilesh, but thank you very much for coming in and helping us understand from the ground as far as what the Prime Minister and his agenda on his Central Asian tour is concerned. Energy security, as Akhilesh pointed out, of course, one of the major areas. Also, reviving ties with the former Soviet states of Kazakhstan, of Tajikistan. That is also on the Prime Minister's agenda. But let's talk about what he will be doing when he reaches Ufa in Russia tomorrow to attend the annual BRICS Summit and the SCO Summit. Now, the five nations, BRICS nations, are expected to discuss long-term goals of the bloc and promote measures of cooperation at the summit. Modi will also be the first Indian Prime Minister to attend the SCO Summit, that's the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now, India and Pakistan hope to get a full membership of this group by next year.
India and Pakistan will have to wait till next year to get full membership of the security and economic grouping, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The focus of the SCO is on boosting connectivity, counter-terrorism cooperation, bolstering cooperation in the energy sector, enhancing trade and dealing with drug trafficking. Ahead of the summit in Ufa, which will be attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, a Russian presidential aide has said that the process to elevate India and Pakistan from being observers to full members of SCO will kick off at the summit. On Monday, during his visit to one of the SCO member countries, Uzbekistan, Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed his gratitude for its support to include India as a full-time member.
Prime Minister of India appreciated Uzbekistan's support in moving forward the process that would make India a member of the SCO.
Besides the SCO summit, Modi will also attend the annual BRICS summit. With the BRICS Development Bank already set up, the summit could also look at the possibility of starting credit facility in local currency. Before leaving India, Modi highlighted the role of BRICS in tackling major global challenges. Even China echoed his views about BRICS.
合作基础呢不断扩大，在重大国际事务中的沟通和协调不断加强。 已成为带动世界经济增长。
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley will attend the inaugural meeting of the BRICS New Development Bank in Moscow. After this meet, Jaitley will attend the meeting of the finance ministers of the BRICS grouping on Wednesday, to be held in Ufa city, which is also hosting the two-day BRICS summit.
Perhaps this is the first time that BRICS and SCO summits are held together at one place. And this is the way that President Putin is trying to show to the world that developing nations and emerging powers are going on the path of development and peace together. Akhilesh Soman for Rajya Television with camera person DK Pandey in Ufa, Russia.
Now, on to our focus story for this evening. The Supreme Court today sought responses from the Centre, the Election Commission and 6 political parties on a plea to bring all political parties under the ambit of the Right to Information Act. The plea contends that all political parties, national as well as regional, are public authorities and hence amenable to the RTI Act. Hearing the plea, a 3-judge bench headed by Chief Justice H.L. Dattu issued notices to all relevant authorities, including 2 leading national parties, the BJP and the Congress. Filed by the NGO Association for Democratic Reforms, the plea claims that political parties receive huge sums of money in the form of donations and contributions from corporates, trusts and individuals, but do not disclose complete information about the source of such donations. It has urged the Apex Court to direct all national and regional parties to mandatorily disclose details about their income as well as expenditure.
This provision, which enables political parties to withhold information about donations which are below 20,000 rupees, and most political parties receive more than 3/4 of their donations which they claim are less than 20,000 rupees, that all details of every donation should be made public.
Political parties have their own private confidential strategies which they can't publicly announce, and therefore RTI on this, would upset the whole functioning of the political parties. So I'm sure the Chief Election Commission will give an appropriate reply to that.
Well, let's go across to Jagdeep Chokar, founder member of the National Election Watch, Association for Democratic Reforms. Mr. Chokar, thank you very much. I mean, you're the petitioner for this movement. So in terms of, and we heard what Majid Memon also had to say about this, that political parties should not come under the ambit. So what's the major reason, other than the fact that perhaps black money has to be curbed? What are the other arguments that the ADR is presenting before the Supreme Court?
You see, first of all, let me clarify that political parties, as per the law of the land today, are already public authorities under the RTI Act, because the Central Information Commission, the highest statutory authority in the country for implementing the RTI Act, said in June 2013 that 6 national political parties are public authorities. That decision of the CIC has not been questioned by political parties or anybody else since then. And in March this year, 2015, the CIC said its decision has not been questioned by anybody, and therefore it is final under the law. So political parties are public authorities already. The issue is that they are not following the direction of the law given by the CIC. They have blatantly and deliberately ignored that decision, and they have even refused to respond to notices issued by the CIC.
Right.
The CIC unfortunately said in March this year that it has no power to get its order implemented, which is actually debatable. It has the power, but it refused to exercise that power.
Right.
The Supreme Court today has accepted a request that it will perhaps hopefully work to get the CIC's order implemented, which CIC itself expressed helplessness from getting implemented. The reasons are that political parties, number one, they get a lot of public funding in various forms. They are 100% exempt from income tax. Therefore,
Mr. Chokar, just for our viewers to understand, what kind of funding are we talking about in terms of just figures? I mean, what would the balance sheet of a political party look like to an ordinary layperson, so that we understand the extent of the money involved as well?
There are political parties whose annual income is more than 1,000 crores. Under normal circumstances, that party will pay 300 crores as income tax.
Right.
That 300 crores, which should go to the public exchequer, is not going there. This is indirectly public money being spent by political parties. Political parties have offices in Lutyens' bungalows where they are paying rent of 800, 900 rupees a month, whereas the market rent of those bungalows runs into crores. There are multiple ways political parties are funded, but that is not the only issue. The other issue is that political parties exercise constitutional power over the MLAs and MPs which are elected by the people. Under the anti-defection law, political parties have the power to remove MPs and MLAs from their legislature. Political parties also claim that they work in the public arena and for public causes. Now, political parties actually form the government through the parliament or the state assembly. When the government is required to be transparent under the RTI Act, why not the bodies which form the government, which work on public money? And the RTI Act has a definition of a public authority. The CIC has determined as far back as 2013 that political parties satisfy that definition under law. If political parties decide that although they satisfy the definition, but they will not be under that law, the question is, does the law of the land apply to everybody equally, or does it apply unequally? If there are thousands of public authorities in the country, it is not up to a body of persons to say that I am a public authority or not. There is no choice here. There is a law there's a body to administer and implement that law. Political parties have decided that they will not follow the lawful orders of a statutory authority. This is blatant defying of the law.
Right.
And that is what hopefully Supreme Court will ensure, that the law is applied equally to everybody, including to political parties.
All right, Mr. Chokar, we'll leave it over there. But thank you very much for coming in and helping us understand the nuances of this issue a little better. Well, moving on now, after stonewalling demands for a CBI probe into the Vyapam scam, the Madhya Pradesh government today filed a petition in the High Court for a CBI probe into the controversial Vyapam scam. Now, this was after the Chief Minister conceded that such a step was needed in the face of overwhelming public opinion in the case.
Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan finally approving a CBI investigation into the employment scam on Tuesday. He defended his earlier decisions to stonewall demands for such a probe, claiming that he wasn't authorized to order such an inquiry.
मैं ये मानता हूं कि जनता के मन में भी सवाल खड़े हुए, प्रदेश के बाहर ज्यादा सवाल खड़े हुए। जनता जानना चाहती कि आखिर क्या है, और इसलिए मैं जनमत के आगे शीश झुकाता हूं और माननीय हाई कोर्ट को एक अनुरोध पत्र भेज रहा हूं कि व्यापम मामले की जांच वो सीबीआई से कराने की कृपा करें।
Refuting the allegations made by opposition parties on the case, Chauhan claimed his government had nothing to hide.
मुझ पे आरोप लगाए गए, बेबुनियाद आरोप लगाए गए। उनका व्यापम की जांच से कोई लेना देना नहीं है कांग्रेस के मित्रों का। उनको जो मृत्यु हुई है उससे कोई लेना देना नहीं है। उनका एकमात्र मकसद था शिवराज को घेरो।
The Congress rejected the offer, stating that only a Supreme Court monitored probe by the CBI will bring the culprits to the book.
We would like the whole investigation to be done by CBI under the close monitoring by an SIT appointed by Honorable Supreme Court, and Honorable Supreme Court should monitor this on a weekly basis.
Other opposition parties are supporting the Congress on this issue.
मैं ये मानता हूं कि इस मामले में सुप्रीम कोर्ट के निगरानी में जांच होना चाहिए सीबीआई की।
पहले तो ये खुद ही कोर्ट में विरोध किए थे सीबीआई का, और अभी कल हमारे गृह मंत्री भी यही कहे, देश के प्रधानमंत्री खामोश बैठे हुए हैं और एक के बाद एक लोग की हत्या होती जा रही है या खुफिया तौर पर या अजीब तरीके से मौत हो रही है, तो इसका जांच तो होना ही चाहिए।
The recruitment scam allegedly involves manipulation in the selection process for government jobs conducted by the Madhya Pradesh Professional Examination Board. Estimates say over 40 people, both witnesses and accused, have died in mysterious circumstances. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, time now to take a look at all the other national news and nationwide. Former IPL chief Lalit Modi has denied receiving any summons from the Enforcement Directorate. The ED issued summons to Modi on Monday in a money laundering case registered against him. Lalit Modi has been given 3 weeks to appear in Mumbai for interrogation. 44% voters turned out for the polls to 24 Legislative Council seats in Bihar today. The election is seen as building ground ahead of assembly polls later this year. The Janata Parivar Alliance and the BJP-led NDA have fielded candidates in all 24 seats. Pakistani troops violated ceasefire by firing on forward posts along the line of control in Poonch district, leaving a Jawan injured. This is the 5th such ceasefire violation by Pakistan in the last 72 hours. Earlier on Sunday, Pakistani troops had resorted to night-long firing and mortar shelling targeting 6 border outposts in Jammu district. A Turkish Airlines flight made an emergency landing in Delhi today after a bomb scare. The plane flying from Bangkok to Istanbul was diverted to Delhi after the pilot informed the air traffic controllers of a bomb threat scribbled inside one of the toilets. However, no explosives were found on the plane. All passengers are being questioned regarding the bomb hoax. Well, time for us to take a quick break, but coming up on the other side, the world powers and Iran are pushing for a nuclear deal as the deadline draws closer. More on that on the other side.
Greece's future in the balance. After a resounding no to the EU's austerity measures, will it continue in the Eurozone? What are the Greek government's options? Watch The Big Picture at 6:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. International news now, and banks in Greece are shut till Wednesday. In the wake of the debt default, Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras is expected today to present fresh proposals in the emergency Eurozone summit in Brussels. Now, the new proposals will have the stamp of new Greece Finance Minister Euclid Solkatsos, who was touted as the brain behind the party's Syriza's economic policy.
A crucial meeting at the European Union headquarters in Brussels is being seen as an olive branch for Greek PM Alexis Tsipras. It will be the last chance for Greece to stay on in the euro as its cash runs out. Tsipras is expected to present new proposals to avoid a Grexit. Expectations are riding high on the new Greek finance minister, who is expected to redouble efforts to put debt relief negotiations back on the table. European leaders, on the other hand, say Grexit is not their aim and that the door is still open for a deal.
Davon aus, dass sie das tun wird, und rate dazu, dass wir dann auch auf der Grundlage dieser Vorschläge, wenn sie denn kommen, der konkreten Vorschläge mit Griechenland verhandeln, weil, das ist jedenfalls meine persönliche Meinung.
Ich akzeptiere das schon überhaupt nicht für die Kommission und ihren Präsidenten von griechischer Regierungsseite als Terroristen bezeichnet werden. Das ist kein Umgang, den man in Europa haben kann.
Hierbei drängt die Zeit, und wir werden darauf Wert legen, dass in dieser Woche solche Vorschläge auf den Tisch kommen müssen, damit wir die Situation, so wie sie im Augenblick ist, dann auch auflösen können.
Meanwhile, Greek banks are rapidly running out of cash, while the European Central Bank is slowly tightening the noose on funding. Analysts feel that an amicable negotiation for a new loan is the only way out for Tsipras. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, UN Tribunal has begun deliberations in The Hague on whether it has jurisdiction to hear a legal challenge by the Philippines over China's territorial claims in the South China Sea. In 2013, the Philippines asked the Permanent Court of Arbitration to declare invalid most of China's maritime claims in the disputed area. The Philippines has sent a high-profile legal team to the proceedings, which will continue till the 13th of July. The Philippines argues that China's 9-dash line to demarcate its territory is invalid under the UN Convention of Law of the Sea. China has opposed the arbitration case. It stakes claim over almost the whole of South China Sea, angering several Asian neighbors. In the first week of July, a US satellite picture showed mainland China on course to completing a 3,000-meter-long airstrip on an artificial island, the Fiery Cross Reef, in the disputed area of the South China Sea. Now, this was a follow-up to China deploying attack submarines in addition to other maneuvers in the Indian Ocean region. A senior officer from the People's Liberation Army insisted that the moves were purely motivated by trade and security considerations, an explanation that finds very few takers among the Indian establishment.
While China's leaders are talking of friendship and cooperation, aggressive moves are being made by its armed forces in the Indian Ocean region. China is docking conventional submarines and sophisticated boats first in Sri Lanka and then in Pakistan, sending alarm bells ringing in Delhi.
Operating their submarines in the Indian Ocean region for quite some time now. And I would say that I'm surprised each time the Indian Navy and the MOD get surprised. We have got our act together. Our response has not been adequate.
Recently, a senior captain of the PLA said that Indian Ocean is not India's backyard. Taken with its activities in the disputed South China Sea, where it is building artificial islands, experts see a clear design.
The Chinese submarines and ships are going to keep operating in the Indian Ocean region. They do not consider that to be the strategic backyard. We do.
After the 26/11 terror attacks in Mumbai in 2008, the government has taken vigorous steps to strengthen its coastal and maritime security. In the last 6 years, it has undertaken no less than 100 exercises to improve coordination among the various agencies guarding the coastline. Experts warn that these efforts come to a naught if it ignores the developments in the Indian Ocean. Palak Sharma, Rajya Sabha TV.
Time now to take a look at all the other international stories in Global Buzz. World powers and Iran are racing against time to iron out a nuclear deal. Last round of negotiations are underway in Austrian capital Vienna as the deadline for a deal ends today. However, both sides said that more time might be needed to reach an agreement. A dispute over UN sanctions on Iran's ballistic missile program as well as a broader arms embargo are among the main points of contention. A Taliban suicide car bomber slammed into a foreign convoy in Kabul today, wounding at least 2 people. This is the second such attack by the Taliban within a week. Meanwhile, gunfire and explosions were reported in another place near the Afghan capital as insurgents entered a building close to an installation used by the intelligence agency. Amidst a growing Islamic State insurgency in the Middle East, the US has said that they are intensifying their campaign in northern Syria. US President Barack Obama said that the US would not send additional troops but would increase support for Syria's moderate opposition. The move comes after reports that IS militants have regained control of the town of Ain Issa from Kurdish-led forces. Well, time now for some sports, and the Indian cricket team, led by newly appointed captain Ajinkya Rahane, has left for the Zimbabwe tour earlier today. In fact, India will play 3 one-dayers and 2 2020s over there. As far as other sports news is concerned, here's SportsBeat. In Wimbledon, world number 1 Serena Williams will meet Victoria Azarenka, while Maria Sharapova will battle it out against Coco Wangdewe in the quarterfinals today. In the men's singles, the pre-quarterfinal between world number 1 Novak Djokovic and Kevin Anderson, which was halted due to rain yesterday, will resume. Both players have won 2 sets each, with the scoreline reading 6-7, 6-7, 6-1, 6-4. Rohan Bopanna and his Romanian teammate Florin Murghea will play for a place in the men's doubles semi-finals today. The 9-seed pair will face top seeds and 3 times winners, America's Bryan brothers, Bob and Mike. In the other mixed doubles, Saina Mirza and Leander Paes will play their respective partners in the pre-quarterfinals. Pakistan jumped 3 places to 3rd in the ICC Test Championship table following a record 7-wicket victory over Sri Lanka in the 3rd and final test on Tuesday. Pakistan entered the series in 6th position on 97 points, just ahead of Sri Lanka. The 2-1 series win earned them 4 ratings points, taking them to 101 points. Pakistan now trails 2nd-ranked Australia by 10 points and lead 4th-ranked New Zealand by 2 points. Well, that's all from us. Goodbye.